and gentlemen, welcome to the Prospect Podcast. I am Coach DePascal. Coach Schumann will be joining us momentarily. We have a great guest on today. Coach Chris Fisher from Ridgepoint High School, offensive line coach, Texas. It's in the Houston area. Longtime science teacher as well. Always love guys that can wear multiple hats. Also, the assistant girls track coach and has run Texas high school football chat on Twitter or X or whatever the hell we want to call it since 2015, Coach.
Yes, sir. That's right. Yeah.
2015. Yes. So just another hat that he wears. But we're excited to talk to you, Coach. Appreciate you taking the time. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I'm honored to be reached out to and invited on.
Nah, listen, it's one of the perks of my job is that I literally get to basically cold call, someone on social media or guys like yourself on the many social media streams or whatever we have, whether it's X, Instagram, TikTok. I mean, I've pulled guys from pretty much all over. And you get all of response. Sometimes you get responses, sometimes you don't. Sometimes I'm talking to guys for months at a time, trying to set things up with schedules and whatnot. But it's one of the perks of the job, Coach. But you definitely jumped out as someone that we would, bring on the show and want to talk to and whatnot. But give our viewers a little bit of your background, your bio, kind of how you got where you are today, and let us know really, and our viewers know who Coach Chris Fisher is.
Yep, sure. So I'm a Texas guy. I've been in Texas my entire life. Grew up in a small town near Dallas. At the time, it was a small town. It was Waxahachie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. If there's anything we know about Texas and that area itself, it's boom.
Right. It's blowing up. Yeah. I think my parents said the other day that I think they're just down the road, which is nowhere near town, is now going to have like a 13,000 home community or something. It's just crazy. But yeah, so grew up there. Went to the University of Texas, and then from there, where I started going into teaching and coaching after a long conversation, a few summers with one of my old coaches, and ended up once graduated from UT. We ended up going and finding jobs in the Houston area because my wife took a job at the hospital here at MD Anderson. So that's what got me to Houston and got me into coaching and doing what I've enjoyed for the past 25 years. I've taught science, I've taught history a couple of years, but aquatic science is the main class I've taught. And then as far as coaching, I've coached football all 25 years. I've coached track, as you mentioned, coached some other second sports, especially early in my career. But track has been, probably my favorite second sport to do. So I'm kind of in my sweet spot right now where I've been at Ridgepoint for the past 15 years. I've been the only offensive line coach or consistently over the past since the school basically opened, and we've had some assistants work with me come and go, but I've been the one that stayed, and it's been good. And so it's been here, like I said, been here 15 years. Been teaching aquatic science for 15 of those years and coaching track, and here we are today. This year is a great year, my 25th year. And I was awarded the Teacher of the Year on campus, which was a great honor. Super, it was, never expected, never pursued. One of those things. Never. No, most people don't even want those things, But
hell no.
But it was honestly.
Now you're gonna get asked all those questions, like when somebody has something going on, like they're coming to the Teacher of the Year about how did you do it or how did this. I say it to my head coach all the time, like God bless you, buddy, but like I don't need all the keys that you have. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, somebody's got an issue, like that's the head coach's office. Like you could go talk to him. You know what I'm saying? Like, not my forte. Not my forte.
That's one of the reasons I've stayed an assistant my entire career.
Me too.
I was like looking at, like you're a young coach and you're sitting there thinking, I'm going to climb the ladder. And then
no doubt.
Once you get to a certain point and it's like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore after seeing what you're doing. You know, but when you get that inside view, you definitely get that decision. Like, do I want to actually do that, or am I happy where I am? And so I've been fortunate to get to Ridgepoint and find that happy spot where I've got basically everything I could want.
And coach, I think it's so important too, like the stability of it in a game where, climbing the ladder and all those types of things, like those things matter to younger coaches nowadays, I think more so than it used to, right? Like, especially in Texas where, correct me if I'm wrong, but you have to teach in the district that you're coaching in, correct? Or you have to teach, right? Like it has to go hand in hand, and you're required to coach another sport. Am I correct in that?
So you are required. I think the basic of the law is you're required to be employed by the district to coach there. Now,
Correct.
the different districts can, like make a bigger requirement. Like my district doesn't allow you to be anything less than a teacher. You have to be a teacher, a campus
Right.
teacher, in order to coach. And we're a
Right.
big suburban district, so they really want. I mean, you're on campus now.
No doubt.
There are schools.
And there's something to be said for that. Like, no
Yeah.
doubt. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? Like, there is
seriously, I'm a
100%
firm
something to
believer.
be said for that. Big time. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was one of the reasons I kind of jumped around in the beginning of my career, right? Because you were trying to find that where can I teach and where can I coach at the same
Yeah.
kind of spot, right? Also, hey, I don't know if, I'm a middle school teacher. Am I a high school teacher, right? Like, am I
Right.
urban? Am I suburban, right? Like, you're trying to feel that niche of where you really fit into the
Yeah.
puzzle, like for yourself personally. Especially because I didn't graduate from college with, go thinking I was going into teaching. I mean, hell, I was working at a pharmaceutical company making way more money than I ever will teaching or coaching. You know what I'm saying? But that wasn't the right fit for me. I didn't like that. I didn't enjoy that. And, I was fortunate to be around some really good women who were like, hey, if you don't like this and you don't want to do this for your whole life, then you got to go and figure it out, because you're going to get caught in this money trap of you're going to
Yeah.
start living a certain way and you'll never get there. Right. So I love them for that. And for, I'll forever be indebted. But that teaching world of teaching and coaching in New Jersey has just really started to kind of almost enforce a little bit of that, where certain districts are now saying like, hey, if I'm paying you as a teacher, then you're going to coach here. You're not going to go to the neighboring town, or you're not going to go somewhere else and, take kids or do whatever. You're going to teach and coach here. So it's interesting to see how certain districts and certain states kind of, monitor that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
we have something similar. We have dual contracts where basically, like if you sign up to coach, then you're locked into a dual contract, and you can't just back out of your coaching in order to just
right.
become a teacher. You have to resign your position and basically put your position at risk, because
No
like
doubt.
we're in a. I mean, even Texas, as ingrained as everything as football is into our school system, we are still facing that teacher and coach shortage that a whole lot of other places are too.
No doubt. And it's unfortunate that that kind of goes hand in hand, right? Because, at the end of the day, too, right? Like, it has to monetarily work. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like, it's really difficult. And I'll speak for Jersey, right? Like, it's really different, and we have some of the best teacher salaries in the country. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no doubt, but there's no way you could survive. And if you are, God bless you. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
as a teach on a single teacher salary within a home where, my wife could stay home and be a stay at home. You know what I mean? Like, that's not going to happen here in New Jersey, especially in a state where, we literally have people on top of people, the most densely
yeah,
populated, state in, at least Texas, you're kind of spread out. I mean, I
yeah,
get it when it comes to like, certain, like where you are in the Houston area or Dallas Fort Worth area, right? Where it's kind of exploding and building up. Like, there's nowhere to go here in New Jersey unless you literally start stacking people on top of each other, which is, what they do, right? Like, so it just goes up. It doesn't exactly spread out. There's not land. And then we kind of like that kind of goes into the whole hand in hand of how the system actually works, right? I'd love for you to touch on that a little bit, Coach, especially as a teacher as well. Just like your day in, day out of what goes into being a teacher and a coach in Texas, because it is very different, the model, when we look around the country at how it's kind of structured throughout the day. So if you could touch on that, Coach, that'd be great.
Sure. So as a teacher, and in my district, we have a teacher is hired. We have six class periods out of seven that we are teaching, and then one conference period. So out of those six, five of them are my science class, and then one of them is our athletic period. So we have athletics during the day, and it's up to our campus what period of the day that fits into. So ours,
Got
we
it.
do it around the lunch period. We do it fifth period. There's other schools that'll do like a first period or a seventh period.
Yeah.
Uh, you
Yep.
and then we'll have like our freshmen, like, so we do fifth period, our JV and varsity, and seventh period is our freshmen. So basically
Got it.
the structure of my day, I teach four classes. So I go and teach my science, teach aquatic science, teach them about the world and the oceans. And then after fourth period, I got to hustle out to the field house and get changed. And then we do fifth period football. And so, like, there's days that we're outside all fifth period, going through some like quick indie, quick group, or quick group, quick team, for about an hour. And then they go to lunch. Uh, Fortunately for me, I have my conference period right after fifth period, so I get some time
Oh,
to
that's
kind
beautiful.
of,
That's
get
beautiful.
that transition. And then I go finish my day, seventh period, my last class of the day, and then I go back out for full practice after school. And so we end around our school day ends at like 2:50. So we start practice at 3:30, which means we're going to about 5:15, 5:30. So it's a pretty good schedule, as far as you know football. But when you have football practice and you have that a lot during the period, you have a lot you can accomplish. Like, so it makes it a whole lot
No
easier.
doubt.
And especially ending earlier like that, ending a little bit earlier in the day, we can go and practice, and we don't have to turn the lights on or get too late or anything. So it's been good.
Well, I just think it breaks it up too for the kids, not only like football wise, but like school day wise, right? Like they know, hey, all right, I got to plug in for a couple periods here in the morning, then I get to go out and I get to go to practice, right? And obviously, I'm sure schedule and depending on what you guys are doing, it kind of varies whether you're in season or you're out of season, right?
Yeah.
Like you get spring ball as well, which not something here in New Jersey that's conducive, right? So these guys are either practicing full go for a season, getting some extra work in, out of season, you're lifting, you're working out, you're doing all these other kind of things. And then they can kind of, go back to, they get some food, they go back to class. It's more of a college structure in that, like, you're not kind of like tied down from 7:30 a.m. to 3 o'clock in the afternoon of just being forced to stay in that school type of setting and we know that a lot of student athletes, like, that doesn't work for them. Like, they need some type of shuffle or breakup within that day. And just the way, and every district I'm sure has their own spin on it, but just the fact that administrators and the structure of the entire system is geared towards having an athletic period within the day, it just changes the game.
It does. It really does, because like we get to work with our kids, at practice, but then like I'll go back and I'll have those same kids, because I teach a junior and senior level class. I see those kids in my class, and so I get to keep tabs on them there, and
Yep.
just continue to build that that connection, that relationship with them outside of the football field, and then they get to go have that break. And then seniors, it's even better, because there's a lot of seniors, if they take care of their business their first 3 years of school, they can end their school day technically after football practice, fifth period. So after, because they could have, if they do it right and they have a good counsel, they can get sixth and seventh period off, and then they can recover fully after school
No doubt.
practice. Yeah, so it's a really nice setup for them, especially.
Right. And it also gives you as a coach just more of that one-on-one individual. Like you're not just rushing around after school to get on the field and then you're trying to throw 1,000 things at them. And you got, before you know it, you're at 3-hour practices and all this other kind of stuff. Like it allows you to kind of break it up. And for the younger guys too, as well. Like, you know, we all know that high school football is about development, especially at a public school. You know, you get what you get and you kind of got to make those guys into whatever they are. And you know, to the best of their abilities. And when you can kind of focus that more so, even if you're not tabbed as a freshman coach or a sub-varsity coach, right? Like it just gives you more time with your players. And I think that's so key and pivotal, especially in the, you know, in that public school world where you're not going out and recruiting the best guys. Like you're getting what you get and then you have to develop, right? And then that development, that's a huge piece of that puzzle when they can see you as more than just a coach, right? Or more than just that guy that's, you know, blowing a whistle, right? It really takes a lot. But I think that's something that's so different. You know what I mean? Is when guys really can focus on the development aspect of their program year round, right? Like, you know, we're transitioning from in season to off season, or, you know, it's to me, it's what really kind of makes it all go. And especially as an offensive line coach, right? Where, you know, those 5 cats got to be all on that same page, man. And if they're not, you know, like it's going to be a long day, a long season. And you know what I'm saying? Like there's no glory in any of that, but you know, to me, we talked about it a little earlier, like not ever wanting to be a head coach, but sure as hell, if I was, like one of my first hires is going to be the O-line guy, because that's just such a key position, you know, on the field. And you know, you go as they go, really. Talk about that a little bit, Coach. Like talk about being the O-line guy. What got you into being the O-line guy? Why do you love it so much? You know, give me a little bit of that background.
All right. So before I was a offensive line coach, I was the running backs coach at my previous school, which was Clements High School in the same district. And our offensive coordinator got the head job at Ridgepoint. And so I told him I was interested in coming over with him. And he was like, okay, let me see what we can do. Because it was a crazy time because we were in a slight hiring freeze and everything. So I had to wait a year for this. And then he came knocking on my door and he asked me like what I'm all certified to teach and everything. So I got there, and because I knew the system that he was putting in, he trusted me and he was like, I want you to be an offensive line. I want you to coach our offensive line. I was like, fine. I was like, I love that. You know, it's one of those things that like when I was coming up as a freshman and a JV coach, just watching the varsity offensive line coach work and figure things out, it was something that I was drawn to. I think like, you know, mentally, it's something that just like clicks with me. I did play offensive line in high school in a veer system. Back in Waxahachie, and that's part of it too. You know, and I had good offensive line coaches, but just the more I got into it, the more I talked to those kids, and the more I got to like breaking down my part of film, the more I just knew like, oh man, this is it. This is what I want to do. I love coaching the offensive line. I love teaching these 5 guys. I love, you know, like figuring out, you know, what, if any, adjustments we got to make this week on the scheme. You know, what do we have to do to pick up this stunt, all this stuff. So once I became the offensive line coach, and I just, like I said, I loved it. So I've been doing it ever since. So it's just, you know, part of what I do.
It's amazing.
Coach,
no doubt.
Yeah. Nice to meet you, Dave Schumann here. You guys have been really had like this year, obviously in particular, you guys had a great season.
Yeah.
Lost to, I think it was North Shore, who's like the top team, I think, in maybe in Texas, right? I mean,
they won state. Yeah.
Yep. And so I mean, and until then, I think you guys were undefeated up until that point. talk about, what was some of the key elements in that season, and particularly like the linemen you work with, like, because obviously the score amount of points you guys are scoring, and
Must be nice.
and that's an area that has a lot of obviously really good athletes in it. But talk a little bit about that.
Okay. So, yeah, we did have a really good season. We're one of those things we had. You mentioned the linemen. I can't. The best seasons we've ever had, we've had really good offensive linemen. Back in 2015, we went to the state semifinals with what I thought, like at the time, probably my best offensive line I've ever had. This year, I mean, very fortunate. We had 3 D1 signee offensive linemen that are giants, and so they've been on varsity starters for 3 years. We moved them up like at the end of their freshman season so they could start getting a taste of it. So technically they've been on varsity for 4 years. But just like guys, yeah, they were, just tremendous kids that, with that amount of game experience, they were able to kind of lead the way and, guide the team. And, those guys are pretty level headed. So they also help keep us cool,
Right.
Then the style we live off explosives at Ridge Point, and so we are like we are taking shots all different spots of the spots on the field, and we're not afraid to prove that like our guy is better than your guy, and
right.
And so it ends up happening. It opens up things, and with those offensive line, and then and the skill kids that we have, we end up putting up a lot of points. And then defensively too. I mean, we got to really. Our defense coordinator does a great job getting those guys in the in the spots to keep them from scoring and get the ball back into the offense's hands. So yeah, we're very fortunate. It's always been a very talented area. I've always said that you could go basically drive down Highway 6, which is the road just north of us, our school. You could drive down Highway 6 and stop by multiple schools along the way and fill an entire college roster and do pretty good. So, but yeah, so that's that's what we do. Yeah, like I said, it's a lot of talent, a lot of just kind of like willing to just go for it, and
Right.
and just good preparation on our part. So
is it I mean, obviously in Texas, football is such a it's the sport, and obviously where you are, it's a great football area. You had, I think, 19 guys signed this year,
yeah,
right? Which is just, I mean, it's mind blowing,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, some guys don't have 19 in their careers, Dave. You know what I'm saying?
I know. And you guys were a third in section 6, ranked third, I guess, in 6A, and according to Dave
that's
Campbell,
big boy
right?
ball, right?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
6A D1, yeah.
Absolutely.
I love how they do that too. I love how they do that in Texas too. The levels within it, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like the 6A D1, like because it just doesn't exist here in Jersey. There's not enough teams.
What is the when you're managing, like you said, you had 3 big time Division I guys on the line alone, and you're managing that type of talent. And then the O-line, one of the beauties of the O-line is like you'll have guys that might be starting that maybe they're not gonna. They might be a D3 guy or maybe choose not to play right in college, and then you have a big old Division I guy right next to him, right? And and they're all working in concert, but there are different ways that you might have to coach some of those guys. I'm not talking about technique, but hey, like this guy, you could probably say something to him, and he could do most of the things I need to do without too much. And this guy, I've got to walk through all the things, and they're still going to accomplish the same thing, right? But how I approach. Talk a little bit about managing that talent, managing different levels as an offensive line coach, because I think that's one of the most underrated jobs that an offensive line coach has, and in particular when you have so much talent, right? But you're trying to figure out, like, okay, I got to make sure those other two guys are on on the same level my D1 guys, and which guy is the right guy to put there, which are the guy, and then obviously you probably have backups. You're probably playing 7 guys maybe in a game, right? Depending on rest and stuff like that. So talk a little bit about putting that all together and how you coach at different levels of offensive linemen.
Sure. Yeah. So one of the things about coaching the offensive line is we're not always sent the best guys. In fact, I don't know if I have 3 D1s this year, but that doesn't happen very often.
Right.
So coaching those 3 guys,
Right.
Coaching those guys, as far as like their performance is that's pretty easy most of the time. There are times, like you said, it's more of a personality management with them. Like one of the guys, we had to talk to, like we could talk to, like I'm talking to another coach, like it's definitely an adult conversation, very rational, very calm, collected. Another guy, like there's a guy that we might have had to get a little bit more emotional with, because you had to get into him a little bit and let him know, hey, this is right, this is wrong. A little more like do this, not that type stuff.
Right.
And remind him of what he's able, what he needs to be doing and what he can and should and should not be doing. And then the other guy was like he was you always have the offensive lineman who not that he ever wanted to play receiver, but he knows, like, if he had a different body, he could be receiver. And
right.
So like
there's always one of those. There's no doubt. Every
always.
offensive lineman at some point wanted to be that guy. That's just that's absolutely.
Howard Mudd spent in his book. He spent at least several chapters how each offensive lineman he coached mentioned that they never wanted to play offensive line, but that's a different conversation. Well, I guess it's part of the conversation, because we are coaching guys that may or may not wanted to play offensive line. But this kid, I mean, like I said, it was more about like managing, like, hey, like I know, like this is what he was incredibly athletic. Like this is what you're able to do. Let's use those skills, and just kind of you coach him up like a superior athlete, and you got to, like, stroke his ego a little bit, but you also got to, like, use it to your to make sure that it doesn't go outside of what we're trying to accomplish with the 5 across, because we all have to be working together, no matter how much faster, we have to work together, how much better you are. You can't, because if we're not all on the same page, it just didn't work. So that's one of the things that we like spend time, for example, this spring, because we are having to kind of reset who's where and doing what this year after losing 3 guys like that. So this spring we took our and who came to us after his freshman year from a private school. He was a tight end. But
aren't they all?
Exactly. So he came to us and we needed an offensive lineman. And so he started working with the offensive line. Then we were like, hey, can you snap? And so he figured out he could snap. So last year he did pretty well. And so last year he spent the entire season pretty much as the starting center for us. Well, this year he is athletic, and he's in one of our better blockers. So this spring we spent all spring transitioning him to tackle, because just looking at the tools that we had, like we needed him out at tackle, and we could get another kid to train up and be our center. And so that's what we started doing this spring. We started kind of like figuring out which puzzle piece works where. And it does take time, and we're not done. We spent about 4 weeks, it seems, a month doing spring football and or spring workouts, I should say. We didn't actually have like after school spring practice this year. We're doing 2 scrimmages in the fall, so we only did workouts during the period. So that's an advantage, as what we were talking about earlier. So we spent time doing that this spring, just tooling in, like who could work where. So we're looking at freshmen who are like our upcoming sophomores who are body wise mature enough to handle it and see what they can do. And then we're also looking at, okay, who can snap, who can do this, and who can be the other tackle. And then of course inevitably you have to work through injuries. So one of my returning varsity expected tackle missed all the spring because of injury. And so that leads us to trying to figure out who fits in that spot for right now, and who might end up having to start some games at the beginning of the year while he recovers. But coaching those guys is it's a process of so it's kind of like putting together, like you're packing a trunk, and so like one of the things I did in college was I loaded trucks, like UPS trucks in college for a part-time job. And when you're building those walls, you have to figure out where each box fits. And that's what it's like coaching the offensive line. You're given this different variety of boxes, and you have to build the wall with them, and you have to put each one where they fit best so that the wall doesn't fail. And then sometimes you try something, you're like, I think this will work, or I hope it will work, and you're rewarded. And sometimes you're not. And that's probably as far as like what coaching the offensive line is like. That's as close of
that's the best analogy I've heard on it. No doubt.
What, packing a truck?
Yeah,
putting things in the trunk? Hell yeah.
You're trying to get those pieces to fit, right? And
fucking Jenga.
If it doesn't,
it's like Tetris. It's like yeah.
And if it's slightly off, they're not. It's
hell no.
It doesn't work exactly the way you want, and you could probably remember a lot of instances where you're like, man, we're so close, but we're just not getting there in the O-line. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And you're like, maybe you don't have that piece, right? That fits perfectly, right? Or you think back and you're like, I played this guy at right guard, and maybe I should have made him my right tackle. You know what I mean? Or I think that's one of the beauties of the offensive line from a coaching standpoint. A lot of guys who were skill guys are scared to coach the offensive line because they don't think they would understand it or anything like that. I always thought it was one of the best moments of my coaching career when I was forced to go coach the O-line and figure it out. And I was like, okay, and I did. And it was really just a great learning experience. But that's exactly like your analogy is so spot on, because when it's really working and you're like, okay, these are my 5 guys and these are my 2 or 3 guys that fit roles, like this 6th man goes anywhere. Okay, this is the guy who's going to go in if something happens to my center, and like when you have that all like worked out properly, like you're as an offensive line coach, it's working great, and you're like, okay, I can actually sleep tonight. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But when it's not, when you just can't, you have to keep tinkering with it, and you have to keep tinkering with it, and you're like, I don't know if I'll ever get to where I want to this year. You know what I mean? On that group.
Yep.
Not that they can't still be very good, but you have a vision of what fits for that team each year, and you're constantly trying to get that group to that. And then when you see them start to work together, it's just an awesome thing. Those kind of moments with the offensive line, it's just awesome when they're working together and they start to all work in sync. And it's to me, because obviously they don't, it's one of those things that's not as talked about as much, but to me, it's what makes football football. Really what makes football. Like, especially in today's world where obviously flag's so big and, a lot of these other things that are football, but like really focus more on skill players.
Yep.
The offensive line versus the defensive line, those two sides of the, offensive line and defensive line are the things that make tackle football what it is, because without them, it's just like any other game that we all play.
Yep.
Skill oriented, and linemen might not like that I say skill orientated, but like really like purely hand-eye coordination based, body based movements. Every other sport is like that, other than maybe rugby, who has some, obviously a large element of it in their game. So that's what I think makes football really, really unique. Offensive line versus defensive line. And no matter what skill guys you have, and obviously guys who can get explosives, it's the greatest thing as a coach, because the team could be stopping it, and all of a sudden one of your guys just breaks one off and you're like, okay, we got him a crease and he went to the house. That's awesome. Like that's what you're constantly working for. You're like, we just got to get this guy a crease, but that's what makes football so unique. Like, we talk to all the speed and strength and conditioning guys, and we're always talking about speed, and how important it is. Obviously, every position needs speed, but without the guys in the middle, all of that other stuff that we're working on, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, right? And then that element makes football such a unique sport, because every other sport I could really go and say, like, okay, lacrosse has elements of like basketball and hockey and this or that, and basketball has elements of this and that, but offensive line, like, go and try and draw a sport comparison. Powerlifting, maybe not really. Like, there's a element maybe, but there's really nothing other than maybe the closest is rugby when they get into their scrum. It's a different positioning type, but when they get in their scrum, they got to push, and that's a very brief time period a lot of times in the game, but very, very brief, because they're pushing and then the ball comes out and then they go, right? The objective is to do it as short as possible. Whereas in football, and the offensive line, your objective is to hold your block as long as possible.
Yeah.
As long as possible. And that makes it so unique over any other sport.
Yeah. And the success.
I'll let you expand the kind of my thoughts there. I'm sure your head's going.
No, and you're right.
And Chris, and also, not to cut you off, because I want you to respond to Coach Sue, but like in a day and age now where it's so much of a me mentality, right? And the name on the back is more important than name on the front. Like, the O-line is the complete opposite of that in every facet, where, this guy could be running for 2,000 yards in a season, but unless he mentions it or a coach mentions it, like, nobody understands the work that of those five guys in front that got him those 2,000 yards, right? Or the quarterback that's throwing for how many touchdowns. Well, guess what, man? Like, the snap had to get to him, and these guys had to stay in their protections, and they had to execute and do what they did to their best of their ability, right? Because, nobody ever points out a lineman, on your, 3rd and 3, and you get a first because you're just banging it up in there. Well, like, how about the guard in the center that just doubled down, or, to the backer, and like got a really good push off the ball? It's just not that glamour position where they're in the limelight. And in today's day and age, like, it's really difficult to get guys to buy into something bigger than what it is personally or individually, right? And that's what an O-line coach's job is. Like, we got to get all you guys on the same page and executing every single play.
Right. And and like you said, we have to get them executing. And we also have to be able to have that conversation with our coordinator. Like, look, hey, this is what our offensive line can do. we can't protect
Right.
for this, like this concept, because that's going to take us too long to develop, and we can't do that. We need to be throwing quick game or whatever with the five that we
Right.
got right here. Or sometimes you do have those five that can protect the concept that has the receiver making three different breaks, and
No doubt.
yeah,
Right. Because we know that guy in Texas is sure as hell fast enough to get into those three breaks and get open.
exactly.
But like, is this guy back here? And then we got the guy that can sling it, you know what I mean? 25 yards on a comeback downhill. You know what I mean? Like, but here we are, like, we got to get this piece together. You know what I mean? Like, we got that, and that's all great. But when it comes down to it, and now you got, a defense that's physically like trying to rip this guy's head off, what can you guys do? You know what I'm saying? Like, take pride in that and all those types of things. It's what separates the O-line. And like Coach Schumann said, it's what separates that aspect of football. That's so different than anybody else. It's not like any other sport. And look, you coach girls track, right? Like, you understand it. Like, that girl could have a great day at the office, right? And win every race that she's in. But like, what is the team numbers? Like, does she really even care unless she's on, a relay? What are we talking about here?
Right. So, I mean, when you coaching track, it's fun because like I ended up coaching the distance girls, and so
nice.
So those girls, the distance runners, it's very interesting because once I started coaching those girls, I immediately bonded with them because they have the same conversations as my offensive line. All the distance girls talk about food, and they talk about, like playing video games and stuff like that. And so it was so easy for me to, just talk with them and get them performing. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's, like when they're out there, like you have to kind of, remind them what's best for the team, what they need to accomplish, what they need to go for. To me, like the only thing that's like close to the level of, or to the same kind of responsibility as the offensive line is the secondary coach, because they got to get that shell to cover for whatever they were trying to do with the front. If the secondary can't cover for this blitz, then that's a tough existence. Makes it
no doubt.
Makes it a long night. But so like coaching the offensive line, you're working with guys that were going to be, thought they were going to be running backs or fullbacks, thought they were going to be tight ends. Maybe they're really slow receivers that have thick ankles or whatever, and they got moved over, and you just got to piece them together and find those five that work together, that really mesh and accomplish exactly what you're trying to get them to do. And then coaching go ahead.
No, I was curious, Coach, because look, like getting five is one task at hand, but we all know how that works, right? Like an ankle rolls, a helmet comes off, right? Like, what's your number as an offensive line coach of, I need this many guys that I can put in and still be okay, and we can still do what we do. I've heard hey, I need 7, I need 8, I need 10, right? Like, what's your sweet spot as the offensive line coach, as to how many guys I need ready to go? God forbid that happens when it does happen, because inevitably we all know, how many times do you start a season with 5 and they finish the same 5? Not rarely ever, So what's your sweet spot?
My goal every year is to find 7 guys that I trust. And, and so 2 of those guys, I mean, at least 2 of those guys have to be able to play, multiple positions. So we try to train guards up to be able to snap. There are some guards that, as young, like freshmen or whatever, they were bigger, so they played tackle or whatever. So we use that, and we'll, rotate them in there every now and then in practice to keep them fresh there. But basically, I want 7 so that, like if one thing happens, we can either make a direct plug in, or we manipulate and move guys around
Right.
in order.
This guy will go here, this guy can go here, right? Like, again, back to the whole like puzzle, right? Or fitting everything into the trunk.
Yes.
Like, how do we make it happen?
Yeah.
But again, goes back to development, right? Like, I've worked with, offensive coordinators and O-line guys where, the first 3 minutes of pre-practice is every starting offensive lineman snaps, right? Like in some way, shape, or form, because God forbid, you know what I mean? Like, just so that they have some familiarity with it. You know what I'm saying? I think in high school, obviously, depending on level and whatnot, I think you can get away with, training guys up to be able to do certain things of, hey, this guy can go to guard, this guy can go to tackle, right? I think it depends on obviously the offense that you're running more so, because you're talking about body shape and forms and things like that. And hey, we can get away with this guy, quote unquote, at center because he's always working with somebody, or you know what I mean? Like, hey, this guy's 6'8", like, can we make him a guard? I don't think he's going to be the center. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're trying to manipulate it within your roster itself. I'm curious your numbers, coach. Like, what is your, as a varsity O-line coach at the school that you're at, what's your room numbers wise? Like, how many guys are you coaching up on a daily basis when you go to, say, Indy?
Oh, so varsity only. It kind of depends on the number of seniors, but it's somewhere usually around 10 to 12 for varsity. And so, like, what that depends on is how useful those seniors that are, not starters, how useful are they? Can we trust them? Are they one of the 7, or are they, game finisher guys? And then the
which
rest
you had to deal with a lot this year. So, like, it's a nice problem to have of like, hey, let's go take a knee.
And then, then when you add in the JV, so JV, sometimes we're only, because we at my school, we field 2 JV teams. And so there's going to be 11 to 12 total JV offensive linemen that are divided up among 2 teams. And to me, honestly, when we talk about puzzle, those guys, the guys, the 2 coaches that travel with the JV teams, those are the puzzle masters, because like sometimes when those JV kids go down, and then they're like, okay, who can we put in where? Oh, wait a minute, we got a backup defensive lineman who played offensive line his freshman, 8th grade and freshman years. All right, dude, you're at guard now. Let's go. And so that's what we try to do. So for Indy, with a full squad practice, we're looking around 20 to 24 kids total. And so then we'll divide up, when we go, like I said, when you go JV varsity split, then, I'm working with 10 to 12 guys. And then the JV kids are running scout, and they're rotating over there, getting their reps. So.
Coach, awesome stuff. I wanted to shift a little bit to your Texas high school football chat, because you have the shirt
it's
on
cool.
there. Yeah.
Yep,
So we got to touch base on that, because you got the shirt on there. I've seen. How long have you been running that? Because I've seen it around for quite a while. How long have you been running that, and kind of talk about the genesis of that?
Okay. So I've been doing Texas high school football chat since 2015. And basically what it comes from is around that time, I was on Twitter and just getting more involved on Twitter. And as mentioned earlier, I'm a classroom teacher. So I started seeing all these teacher chats, these like Texas educator chat and stuff like that. And I was starting to get involved with them, and it was fun. It was, it was an interesting professional. It was an interesting developmental process for me, because I was seeing the power of social media on display immediately, because someone would ask a question, and then you would get a lot of answers from teachers all across Texas, all across, the United States, and getting these different perspectives. And so I was like, oh my goodness, this is really cool. And then I was, at the same time, brand new Twitter, all these different, suggestions, who to follow. So all these coaches started popping up, and I was following enough coaches on Twitter, and there really wasn't much of a football conversation going on. I was like, dude, this this chat format is something that I think coaches would really enjoy.
Right.
And so in January 2015, I just kind of decided, all right, I'm going to start. I'm going to pick the hashtag. So I went with Texas High School Football Chat, and I crafted 5 questions and put them out there on Twitter. And between like the few followers I had then and everything, we had like a few questions. A few quick people answered, but at the end of the night, everyone was like, "Oh my goodness, this was an incredible experience." And over like the next week, more people saw it, and I would get all these messages like, "Coach, I'm, this is really neat what you're doing. I don't live in Texas. I don't coach in Texas. Can I be involved?" And I was like, "Yeah, just get on there, answer the questions. There's no like gate at the door keeping people like, answer the questions. It's going to be a useful experience for everybody to see, what Texas coaches think, what Oklahoma coaches think, what New Jersey coaches think, and so it really just kind of took off from there. And so once people, realize like, hey, we can have a productive conversation on using this social media platform. It turned into a resource where I was able to help coaches every single week and put out, different aspects of coaching, whether it's X and O specific, just, career specific, just different, practice organization, all sorts of different topics, every week for the past, 11 years now. And, it's been an incredible experience because it's opened me up to tremendous people, coaches from all over.
Right.
I've learned a lot from. I always talk, like I always think like I've benefited. I feel like I've benefited more from Texas High School Football Chat than what others tell me they benefit, because I'm the one. I read it every week and I learn so much from other coaches and how they handle things. And whether it's either something gives me something new to think about, or it affirms my practice, it's an incredible experience, and it's opened me up just a whole different level of understanding football and also understanding my kids and helping them progress and develop.
No doubt. I think that's what makes social media great. It gave you, these are the positive sides of it, right? You can
Yes.
open up Texas football talk to the world, right? And
Yeah.
people can chime in on their own views on everything, which is pretty cool. And it makes it unique. Is it something that, like, as you continue to do that, is that stayed a hobby, or has it become somewhat a business for you? I'm curious.
Probably a little bit of both.
Okay.
I do have sponsors. I've right away, especially back then where Twitter was just like blowing up. Right away, I was able to get some good sponsors, who I really like my sponsors because I feel like they are. I mean, they're trying to make money, but they're also in the business of helping coaches improve their program.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I do get a little money from them. I like, for example, my sponsors are Just Play Football, Modern Football, which is, the new analytics, which is just blowing up football right now, especially as we're allowed to use those tools during the game. Sky
Yeah.
Coach as well, for end zone camera, and that's new to Texas somewhat. I mean, I think we've only had it 2 years now, whereas outside of Texas, the in-game replay has been something that
Yep.
that other
We've had
states
it for a bunch of years now. Yep, we've
Dude.
had it for a good amount of years now, where you can literally, like, and especially for you as the O-line coach, like, those
Oh,
guys
it
can come off the
changed.
field, sit on the bench,
Yeah.
and my O-line guy, like, he's got the iPad, and it's like, all right, here's what it is. Like, this is what we're getting. We got a 1 here, or there's a 3 tech here, you know,
Yeah.
hey, watch for the slant, like, or you know, the twists here and things like that. Like, it's really been a game changer.
Sure.
And I know technology wise, like, you guys are allowed to use the go routes in game, you know what I mean? Like, to communicate, you know, rather than wristbands or whatnot, where we can use them for practices and whatnot, but we still haven't, it's no in-game stuff with the go routes. Moving forward, like, you know, maybe it'll change moving forward, but it's not a thing yet. But it is interesting how much that in-game technology stuff can change it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it has.
And those guys, you know, and obviously they support you with your, you know, with the Texas high school football chat stuff. That's really cool.
Yeah. But that's so like it is, like I said, it's, you know, so a little bit of business there, but also it's opened up some avenues for me to, you know, pursue other sides of things. And so, like, I've started a Substack channel where I write about stuff. So, and I've found how much I enjoy the writing process. And so you know, I write, and I'm trying to develop that. Really not into like any sort of revenue thing, just as far as just me sharing my thoughts more. And so, yeah, it's become one of those things there where if I don't do it a certain week, and I'll take off, and there are weeks that I don't do it. But it just doesn't feel right. You know, it's just like, it's become part of what I do, and part of my process every week is, you know, I prepare my lesson plans. I prepare the blitz report, and I also prepare Texas High School football chat. And it's, you know, it fits into, you know, my thought process, and I enjoy doing it. And unfortunately, I've been able to also make a little side gig out of it as well. So
really cool. Amazing stuff. It's really cool stuff that you're doing.
thank you.
I'd love for you to talk a little bit about when you see successful programs in Texas like yours, and you see maybe some programs you play against that may not be as successful.
Mhm.
What are some of the things that you think that you guys do differently that you think makes a difference? Because what I think makes Texas, at least 6A football, so unique is that, like, if those coaches don't succeed, a lot of times they're let go, right? So because you know, they're higher paid, you have more full-time guys. Talk about what you've seen and things that have made you guys successful versus maybe some people who haven't been as successful.
Okay. Well, I mean, you can't win consistently without the kids. I mean, number one, you know, got to give credit to the community of kids that we have at Ridge Point High School. I mean, they are very fortunate that they've been really good athletes. We live in an area that attracts, you know, a lot of former NFL players, a lot of former college players, and, you know, and they have athletic kids. And so that's, I mean, you can't, I got to start off by saying, you know, we do have athletic kids. The other thing that we do, I think, that is, as a staff, that we've always done is, you know, we are invested not just in winning games, but we are invested in the program and in the community. And that's because the community is invested in us. Being at Ridge Point High School since the beginning of the school, so basically, you know, and seeing how, and building it when we only had 50 total teachers on campus, whereas now we have over 200 teachers on campus. You know, the community has been directly involved with us since day one. And you know, and that is a big factor as well. I mean, we are, you know, they want us to be successful. They help us be successful. We rely on them to be successful as well, because they, you know, those parents, they help take things off our plates that allow us to get back to coaching. And then, so like that investment in us, you know, is returned because we are invested in them. And we celebrate our parents, and especially those volunteers and everything that they help us do. And we try to get our kids to get back into the community as well. And then as far as like a coaching staff, one of the things that we do, as I feel like we all do a great job of, we put our egos to the side, and we work together because we know, like, okay, this is, even though, like, could I have gone on and been an offensive coordinator somewhere? Could I have eventually become a head coach? Probably so. But that wasn't what became important to me. What became important to me was the success of these kids at Ridgepoint High School. And I think pretty much our entire staff is bought into that. And so every week we are, when we're game planning, whether we're facing a team that is 11-0 and will make or break this season for us, or a team that is 1-9 or 1-8, and we're just, they've been struggling. We game plan against them, and we take them seriously, and we want to make sure that we are putting our best foot forward. And so part of that, we communicate to our kids, like, it doesn't matter who's next up on the schedule, because it's not their level of talent that we're facing. Are we bettering ourselves? And so as coaches, the challenge is to make sure we don't take anybody lightly, and we keep performing, doing our jobs at the expected level. And so when we do our jobs at that level, it translates to us holding those kids accountable as well, and keeping them performing at the expected level too. And so those are the things I think that help us, have helped us be so successful every year since we've been a varsity program. We've never not made the playoffs at Ridgepoint, and that's one of the reasons why. And we're, like the coaching staff that I started with, we're on a different coaching staff now. I'm working for the second head coach in school history now. And but the expectations never change from one coach to the next. I mean, the expectation is for the coaches to give their best every day, and for us to make sure that the kids are too.
Well, and also, coach, with the success, yeah, I mean, it's a great point, absolutely. But also with all the success, like, you're getting everybody's best shot, no matter what, right? Yeah. Like, there's going to be teams that Ridgepoint is going to be, they're highlighted on that schedule going into the season, right? So it just is what it is. Like, you want to be good, that's what's going to happen, right? Like, the bullseye's on your back every week. It's their biggest game of the year is your team for everybody on that schedule, because everybody wants to beat the big dog. Everybody wants to either, compare themselves or how they stack up, right? Like, you've created this standard of high level, like, you know what I mean, that everybody wants to attain or bring down or model them after, right? So that's a whole nother thing of, like, how those guys got to be prepared on a different level, because you're getting everybody's best shot. It's not just, the routine, whatever game. Like, that's how it's going to be. If you want to be good, that's what's going to happen.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It's you've got to be ready. We've gone into games where, we definitely should have, beat them by 30 plus. And then we ended up almost
Doesn't
going
happen.
over. Yeah. Because they came at it, and they were ready.
Right.
And
or you just know how it is. Like, you play to the level of what you're playing sometimes. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, sometimes good teams are in games with teams that it should be, a blowout, but that's just what it is, right? Like, it's high school football, and it's what it is. So you develop that winning mentality of, hey, take care of business and let's go. And that's difficult. That's part of coaching, right? That's that mental side of it that you got to go into every freaking game knowing, like, hey man, you're going to get everything under the sun. And guess what? We may have prepared against seeing, an odd front, and all of a sudden you come out and now it's, they're not a 3-4, they're a 4-3, right? Like, guys will go out of their way way to game plan and prepare for certain teams and just throw stuff out there to try and get a win, right? Because talent wise, and I understand where you're at, like in that area, you're going to see high level talent every week, right? Like, unlike a lot of teams. But at the same time, collectively, opposing coaches, hey, we can't stack up against, 19 signees. So
Right.
we got to do this, or, you know what I mean? Like, coaches overthink shit and go crazy with certain things to try and get a W. So, I mean, you're probably seeing some of the craziest stuff just on a regular basis, just because guys are trying to take down the big dog.
Oh yeah. Well, and then also, I mean, sometimes the great thing about getting your best from everybody, because even though sometimes those teams that are struggling, they still have good coaching staffs, and
no doubt those guys work too. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like, those guys put in the time just like all of us do. Sometimes it's like, hey man, like, nice call. Like, you got to give the rewards where it's at.
Yeah, and then sometimes, and there's times that we've won by 3 or 4 touchdowns, but that team still revealed a hole
A
in
weakness.
some part of our game, and
something
so
we got to clean up.
Oh shoot, we got to fix that. We can't let that
No
happen
doubt.
again. Yeah,
right. Because down the road, like, that's gonna come up, and it's gonna, if we allow it to keep happening, like, that's how we're gonna lose. Is right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, thank you guys for showing us that that's our weakness. We need that. You know what I'm saying? Like, listen, it's so cool too. And honestly, to go back to the high school football chat stuff a little bit, Coach, it's one of the things about like this podcast. We talked about it a little bit off air of like, you create a network within it that, you would never talk to some of these people having not had these platforms. We talk to, high school coaches, college coaches, whether it's, Division II or NAIA, or we've talked to high school coaches from the state of Washington, or Wisconsin, Michigan. You know what I mean? Like, we've literally almost nailed a head coach in right now we're sitting on 39 states that we've talked to a head coach from, which is so cool, right? To just hear how guys do things differently, or hey, maybe look at it like this, or just because we're all kind of dealing with the same stuff, but it's just different, right? Or to me, that's one of the coolest things about social media. It's one of the positive things I think about it, is it allows us to kind of broaden our horizons and go outside of maybe sometimes our comfort zones, and talk to guys about certain things that, hey, like, we may never ever use this, or we may never be in an opportunity to do some of the things that you do, but guess what? Like, I can take something away from it, right? Or I know somebody that could, hey, maybe that could work for, whatever. Like, that's the really cool aspect of what these kind of platforms can do. Besides the comedic relief that comes from some of the responses of and answers for like some of these people that you're like, are you serious? Like, is that real? Like, do you really mean that? Or like, you know what I mean? Like, sometimes it's just like, I can't. I'm like, I can't believe like you even put that down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, not only are you thinking that and really like affirm that, but like, you put it out there to the world. Like, that's wild. Okay. Like,
and everybody critic. Like, if I post a play, diagram, and I draw the defense up exactly how it was on film that we saw, someone will go, there's no way any defense will ever like that ever. And sure enough, I mean, they're wrong because somebody did, and they did it consistently, and it's 100%. Crazy those funny responses like that. I could go on and on. But
comedic, you could write a book just in the responses alone. Right. You know what I mean? Like, and it would be an Amazon bestseller.
You can't It's like, every teacher I know has said, like, they're going to write a book called "You Can't Make This Shit Up." Well, you can do the same for coaching, and especially on social media. You Can't make
Right.
it up.
Yeah, because it gives, it gives everybody a platform. You know what I mean? Like, it gives, and everybody feels like, they have the right to say literally whatever they want, whenever they want. And the fact that they get to hide behind a keyboard or a phone, right,
Yeah.
really kind of toughens them up a little bit, right? They go
Oh
from
yeah,
being
definitely.
5'2" to 6'2" all of a sudden real quick, right? Like when
Right.
it comes down to it, because they got a screen between them. You know what I'm saying? So it really is interesting to see some of the things that people come up with. But it also, again, it allows you to kind of, develop who you are and
Yeah.
whatnot, and kind of, and that's something that you can have, post teaching or post
Yeah.
coaching, right? Like that's a foundational type of business thing that, hey, maybe
Mhm.
we're not focusing on it in that in that avenue right now, but there's the ability to down the road we
Yeah.
can do more, or we can change it to this type of model, right? Like it kind of gives you a little bit of wiggle room. And for teachers, I feel like that's always a really big thing, because like, what do we do after the fact? Or, when things like this change, or just to always have extra streams of something, like, just it doesn't even have to be monetary. It just mentally to have
Yeah.
something else on top of, the teaching, the coaching that becomes so monotonous over and over and over, to have an avenue for you to kind of like, go and do, or, put on a different hat and wear. I think that's so awesome.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely and like you mentioned, I've got a lot fewer years in front of me than I do have behind me, and so it is one
Right.
of those that I do think about, like, okay, what does this look like, and what else can I do, especially when I'm retired from teaching and coaching. How can I use this as something to keep my mind and stay involved with the game, because that's something I enjoy. That's something that I've found over the past 11 years of doing the Texas High School Football Chat, is how much I do enjoy these coaching conversations and connecting with
Right.
them to help them, like, as whatever help I'm able to provide, whether it's some advice to a young coach, or helping to, telling the coach the process of like the best ways if you want to move from wherever state and come to Texas. Like, that's one of the conversations every year I have at least 5 times. And
There's no doubt. Well,
yeah,
because it's an appeal, right? Like, guys
yeah,
want to come to Texas to coach high school football, because, you can ultimately be a high school football coach and survive in the world, right? Like, as a career. And it's something we talk about on the show a lot, right? Obviously, state to state is so different. I mean, you look at a state like Florida, where, they're always mentioned in the conversation of being one of the top high school football playing states, yet their
yeah,
coaches get paid absolutely nothing, right? Where, they've now
absolutely.
like put a law together, right? Like on
Yes,
wherever, and just, or whether it's, your stipend based coaching, or, hey, like, you can't be an administrator and coach, right? Like, there's just
right.
so many things that go into it. That I think it's always so interesting when we talk to guys from other states. But the
Yeah.
way Texas does it, and Georgia's kind of right there with it, how they take
Mhm.
care of coaches and teachers like on a different level, because they understand that the investment in them is an investment in our student athletes, which is like the people responsible for how this country is going to be in a couple years. Like,
Yeah,
hey, we should probably pay those people pretty well, right? Or
yeah,
take care of them in some way, shape, or form. And guys are interested in that, right? Like, can I go from New Jersey to Texas and coach and live, and what's the lifestyle like, and all those kind of things. We just talked to a coach that did it when he was he was from South Carolina, and he made the move,
mhm.
and now he's at Forney High School and he's loving life, right? Because
Oh
that's
yeah,
just, it's a different move, but it's all of those things. And without people like yourself that are willing to have those conversations, like, those guys would never know of that, or be comfortable enough to make the move, right?
yeah, exactly. So, like, all right, one of the head coaches I work for he's from Iowa, moved down here. Just is back before social media. Moved down here on a whim. Um,
Yeah. God bless them.
yeah, it's just great. Yeah, those conversations are a lot of fun, and like I said, helpful. Like, I enjoy doing it. I enjoyed being able to provide that resource to these coaches. So,
No doubt. I mean, I think that makes all the difference. Um, Coach, any final thoughts on anything before we let you go?
um, final thoughts. Not too much. Just like I said, my main purpose of doing Texas High School Football Chat, my main purpose of staying in the teaching coaching profession is because I enjoy helping people, and I appreciate that y'all having me on here because hopefully that somebody finds this helpful, and whether it's a coach or a teacher or somebody, and y'all are providing a great resource as well that helps other coaches, because I've listened to some of y'all's podcasts getting ready for this, and there's a lot of great, tremendous information. Kenny Simpson's podcast was fantastic. Just especially he's another guy that I've met because of social media, and he does a lot to help out coaches, and that's really what it's all about. So
No doubt.
if there are people in your audience who want to follow along, they can catch up with Texas High School Football Chat every Wednesday, 8 p.m. Central, using the hashtag that's on my shirt. And then also the Substack channel that I've started, if you want a little bit more into my mind and my thoughts on the game and the coaching career, then it is you can subscribe at Texas High School Football Chat.substack.com. But yeah, I just want to thank y'all for having me on.
Appreciate you, Coach. Really.
Yeah, absolute pleasure having you on, and really great talking with you around a variety of topics.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what makes it fun. You get to cover a bunch of topics.
Exactly.
But yeah, absolutely. Really, really great talking to you. Really, really great dive into all these things with you. And you're having so much success. Before I let you go, because your sponsor is Modern Football, can you explain to me, because there's so many new things coming out, and what their stuff does that's kind of different?
Okay.
I always like to dive in and reach out to these companies. Tell me what they do that's a little bit different in the analytics space.
Oh yeah. So the main thing is with them is their platform is really fast, and so like you don't have to rely on different hardware or anything like that. It's all can be on your phone via the app or just on your laptop, and it's literally just touch and go, and just like you got someone inputting the plays. And then, like that next series, you're able to see exactly what's happening and what it's working. So, I mean, the Modern Football analytics app is just incredibly fast. That gives you like immediate data for you to work with. And then post game, they have their platform is set up where they have relationships with Huddle and Max Preps. You can immediately upload your information, the game information to Huddle. So that's giving coaches back time on the weekends or after the games on Friday night. And then also your stats are immediately uploaded into Max Preps, which is today, like you.
Oh God.
You have to do. Oh my goodness. If you
it's
don't,
such a that in itself is a game changer, because having it, look, you could try and do them in game. Like, I've done it where I've literally had somebody try to track the stats of like, it just gets crazy. So inevitably you go back and you're going back to not only are you going through the film to break it down and do whatever, but now you're tracking stats and yardage and all that. It is so much. Anything that can make that better, like, here we go. Because
I was a JV
stat
coach. Yeah. I was the stat coach guy when I was a JV coach. And, I had this whole like big spreadsheet that I was like writing everything down. And yeah, I mean, just knowing what that does, knowing that this platform makes that guy's job that much easier, and uploading it immediately for, post game into Max Preps, it saves that guy time. It saves your head coach a phone call in the morning from the parents who are asking, where's my baby's stats? And
I mean, Friday night after a game, I'm like, dude, like, can I like just sip on something for a couple minutes here? Like, it'll be in there by the morning. Like, I promise. Right. And obviously with Max Preps kind of being that home base, I really wish a
yeah.
lot of guys would really. I wish almost states would push it a little bit more, so then the national thing would be cleaned up a little bit. But obviously, certain states do things a certain way. But yeah, that stuff that's the side of coaching that I don't think a lot of people understand, or
Right.
even get. They think that stuff just like Fugazi, bam, it's there. It's like, no, somebody's like tracking this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and this isn't an NFL game where you have 18 statisticians that are going to make sure
their
that are
stats
responsible
are
for every
done
person.
automatically in game for the coaches, and they and how do they do that? Do they have someone? It just
for
yeah.
Well, in modern foot, so like it's the same guy that's putting in, like putting in the plays and stuff, because you put in the play, the result.
Got it. Okay.
So it's putting together analytics. It's also putting together the stats, because you can upload your roster and all that as well. And so it's just really like touch, and it's all in. And so coaches are getting feedback during the game. You're getting
it's amazing
at the end. I mean it's an incredible platform, and one of the easiest and fastest that I have seen and that people have presented to me. So it's incredible.
And the fact that it's one-stop shopping, right? Like everything's kind of in-house, right? Like you're not, these guys do the stats. Because then if you have an issue, God forbid, right? Because that's always where my brain goes, is like you're talking to the person who actually does it. You know what I'm saying? You're not, you got to talk to this one for this department or this. Like it's all one-stop shopping. That makes things so much easier. And for coaches that, you know what I mean? Like a lot of coaches, that's not their forte, right? Like, or someone to have someone on the staff to be that person. Because look, that's what mom and dad want to know about, right? Or
again, those
quote unquote,
the key is the in-game data, right? Because you got the in-game data.
That's big.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. So you can make decisions as you're getting into the game.
Exactly. You're not guessing. Yeah, you're not sitting there guessing. You're not going, well, I think this will work. You can look and see, like, oh my goodness, we've been gashing
up. No, it has worked. Like,
yeah. So cool. It's incredible platform.
Awesome stuff. Yep. Awesome. Coach, can't thank you enough for coming on. Really.
Thanks, Coach.
Oh yeah, no, it's my honor. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure, and we'll see you down the road, and obviously see you online. So.
Yep. Sounds good.
Absolutely, right. Coach. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
All right, y'all too.
All right, Coach Fisher. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.
Great stuff. Really,
man, his team is unbelievable.
Yeah,
the team's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Whew. Houston area. You've been to Houston, correct?
Oh yeah.
Yep. More talent in the Houston area or the Dallas area?
Well, that North Shore team is supposed to be this top team in Texas. That's always the debate in Texas.
Got it. I was just curious because I know you've been to all these places. You know what I mean? Like you've seen.
Having been to both, there's a tremendous amount of talent in both areas. I mean,
like what about like now, like say like you throw in like Atlanta.
Well, Atlanta now with how it's grown is probably comparable to.
I mean, he referred to that too, Dave. Like before you got on, he talked about like because he's from, I guess, an area like outside of Dallas, right? And that's like where he grew up, and he even said like the boom in population has it's incredible.
Yeah, Houston is much bigger than the Dallas area, but Dallas-Fort Worth might be close to the population maybe of Houston, but Houston is much, much bigger population-wise.
Gotcha.
I'm just curious, what is Houston? I think Houston's like number 4 in the United States. Houston metro area is 7.9, and then Dallas Fort Worth metro. Oh, I'm wrong. Okay, so Dallas Fort Worth is, when you combine Fort Worth, is 848
million.
Yeah, so it's actually bigger now, Dallas, than Houston Metro. Houston, the city, is the fourth biggest city in America. It's
Got it.
2.4 million. But when you count the metro area, where there's a lot of you have to
Right.
account for that in Dallas because most of
Right.
Dallas is suburban.
But it's
Um,
crazy to see it though, like, and like then you're not even talking about like San Antonio, right? Like all like
so
it's
San Antonio has some good teams. Austin is very good,
yeah,
certain teams, but it's not so
like
like
that.
Lake Travis, Round Rock. There's another one I'm missing that's really good in Austin. I think that's been White House in Austin. But there's a few in Austin that are really good. There's a few in San Antonio that are pretty good. Um, the population of San Antonio demographically is much different than Houston and Dallas. You're getting more towards the Mexican border, so you have a
Right.
lot higher. Not that they all play football, by the way, so it's not like they don't play
Right.
football. Like
Well, it
that's when
says here,
you go to Texas. So what you would
right.
be shocked at, okay? Because when you live in the Northeast, um, the Mexican population in the Northeast and some of the other like South American don't play football really. Okay,
Right. No doubt.
when you're in Texas, there's because most of Mexican population grew up in Texas, so
Right.
um, so they play football. So
Right.
it's when you go to Texas, it's different than what you would expect. So
Makes
like
sense.
you'll see like where, and I'm generalizing obviously. So but in the Northeast, you won't see a lot of like super tall Mexican population. I don't know why that is, but you don't. In Texas, you will. You
Got
will
it.
see 6'5" kids of Mexican descent. So,
Right.
um, so it's just different. You know what I mean? It's just a different
No
like
doubt.
demographic. But because it's a little bit more Mexican based, and it less populated in San Antonio than Houston, you're just not going to have as good a football. Same thing with Austin a little bit. Austin's a little more suburban outside of the downtown Austin area. It's big suburban, but Lake Travis is a great program. There's schools in
It's
those
just
Round
good.
Rock
It's
areas
just
that are
good all
good.
around, man.
Yeah, I until you see it online, so you have an idea, but you have to
Nah, it's
go.
got to be
You
different.
have
Yeah,
to
like
go and like see a
when you're boots on the
showcase or
ground.
see.
Yeah, no doubt.
You have to go and see a showcase or watch a game or just walk in the stadiums and
Right.
see how it's set up. It's just I don't know
It's
how to
different.
you have to
You
see
can't
the
really
only way you
explain
can
it.
ever
Yeah.
experience it is to see it. And but like some places in Georgia, like Buford,
Right,
they
right,
got
right.
like
Of course, of course, of course.
Buford's got like 5 fields, in Georgia,
Yeah.
like a gigantic stadium. They had a gigantic stadium before. Now they have a gigantic stadium.
Right.
And there's a lot of those areas that are growing fast, where football is big. It's just out of this
Sky's the
world,
limit. Yeah, sky's the limit.
literally out of this world. Like it's just there's so many good players that are there, and I don't know. It's like how basketball is here in the Northeast. Like like I don't know that people appreciate that everybody can play basketball in the Northeast. You know
No,
what I
I
mean?
don't
Like,
think they, well, because I don't think they understand it. I think with social media a little bit, they can see the context in the grand scheme of things, but it's like we talk about all the time. Like, you think you're a great player because you're really good in the little tiny league or state or whatever region that you are. Like, you could even go within state to state and say, hey, is there better football in the North? Is there better football in the South? You know what I mean? Like, Texas, you're on such a broader spectrum because the state is so big in itself. You know what I mean? Like, it's just different. The amount
I
of
mean, Texas
players, right?
decided to
Like,
be good in basketball. Now they're good at
oh my
basketball.
God, no doubt.
So
like when you
anything
want
they
to put a focus
decide to
on
be
it,
good at, the sports
right?
emphasis is so big. Same thing with Georgia, obviously Florida, but basketball, like there's AAUs in every corner in every part of America, and that
Right.
obviously has been that way. And baseball in the South obviously is huge.
Oh God, yeah, because you can play it year round and do all those
Play
kind of
year
things.
round, like they're great baseball players. But like you come up in the only way for Northeast people to understand how Texas football might be like. It's like if you go to a New York City basketball game, you know what I mean, or a New York City, like everybody can play, like a youth game or a middle school game, everybody can play. You know what I'm saying? It's just what level are they? But they can all play, and that's what Texas was like. It was like these dudes can all play football.
Yep.
They can all play. It's just how fast is this kid versus this kid? How big is this kid versus this kid? But they can all play. And
yeah. Like even the
know,
ground level, like average Joe is better than most. You know what I mean?
Like there's no dude that comes in like there's like I don't know. Like in high school in New Jersey, you could legitimately have kids come out for the football team, and you're like, have you played a sport ever? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Ever.
But and now kids play sports more than ever, but you still have kids like
there's still levels to it.
Texas, you're probably I don't know. You may not be coming out for football if you haven't been playing for a while, especially at these bigger schools.
Right, you might not
now,
have the opportunity.
Small school, I'm sure, is like anywhere else in the country. Like a small school is a small school. You're gonna have good players. You might have players that because it's a small town, whatever small town. But those big schools, man, it's just like if you were to compare
3,000, 4,000 kids in a school, Dave. You know what I'm saying? Like
6A public school, if they came and
they're public, that's the difference too, right? Like, especially if you compare it to our state in general, right?
They're playing with who's there.
For the most part, like you get what you get, and that's what it is, right? And the private schools, like mainly up north, right? Like they have the best players, but they go and get those best players. They don't just show up. Like these guys play at public schools, right? Like they're just going through the system. These kids aren't going to these kids aren't going to middle school showcases. You know what I'm saying? Like
when we beat a
like,
middle of the road,
happening.
Like we beat like one of the North Jersey schools beat a middle of the road public school. Okay, middle of the road, big public school, and it was a close game. Middle of the road. They did not play North Shore.
Right.
They did not play this team. They did not play.
And he's been at this school for over 15 years, dude. Like that's, you know what I mean? Like
now, Cole deserves credit because when he played, when he was at Don Bosco, he went and played De La Salle. He went and played St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yep, we beat him. I love it. It's my claim to fame on being on staff, bro. Like we went down there and beat both Bosa brothers.
Right. So that is, we're not doing that as much. We tried. Like I think was it Bergen Catholic who went down to play Shamadan Madonna with Jeremiah Smith?
Yeah. Yep.
I don't think Shamadan.
Those guys do it.
I don't even think
they won this. Like, well, I mean, look, Bosco's played Heritage in the past. You know what I'm saying? Like Mike's team, like they've done that. Like they went down there and did that. Bergen Catholic plays. St. Joe's goes and plays somebody. You know what I'm saying? But and that's why I brought up the Max Preps thing, right? Because it's hard to get each state kind of all on the same page on a national level.
You just can't.
it's difficult, right? Because unless, like you said, you're max preps and you kind of push that, or your state association, like, hey, you need to make sure your stats are uploaded to max preps, like you're never going to really get that big picture, right? It's why it's like there's a mythical national championship type of thing, right? Like they talked about, like, St. Francis playing, I don't know, whoever it was from Georgia as the number 1 and the number 2 type teams in the entire country. But then you're going outside of, like, you know what I mean, like your state associations, right? It's why a lot of those big time national games happen earlier in the season for most, because everybody starts at different times, right? Like I know for us in Jersey, like if you want to play a national schedule, for the most part, like those national games happen week 0 or week 1 or right earlier in the season, because that's where your wiggle room is. And even in that, like you might be playing, like I know when I was at Bosco and we went out to Utah to play Alta, a school like near Salt Lake City, and we were on it was game 4 for us, but it was game 7 for them. Like the schedules and things of that nature, like all that kind of stuff. How many rounds of the playoffs do you do? And, is it worth going out of state because, like, does it help you in your state? Right? Because it might take away from your playoff run, because how do they calculate how good that team is that you played out of state when it's not, like, how do you line it up? Right? Like for us specifically, like PowerPoints, right? Like how many PowerPoints do I get for playing St. Thomas Aquinas? Like, how do you judge that? Like there's got to be those parameters in place, and they have them, right? But does it benefit me as a team? Well, yeah, you're playing a national schedule and getting recognition for those guys that are going to go to that level, but do you have enough of that? Like, or do you just want to make an experience where, a Wayne Hills goes and travels to Tennessee or North Carolina, or, this year they're going to go to Texas or whatever. Like that stuff's different.
No doubt.
I mean, I love that stuff because I obviously football junkie. Like when I was coaching at Bosco and it became a national thing for me, like there was so much that I didn't know on that national level of like how things go, and some of these other teams that you're seeing, right? Like a De La Salle or a Bishop Gorman, right? Or, an American Heritage, St. Thomas Aquinas, like even in the, the Maryland area, St. Francis, Gilman School, right? Like Good Counsel, all of these teams, like, wow, like, you know what I mean? Or if you go to Ohio and you're playing Massillon, or, you know what I mean? Like some of these schools have national recognition. That's really cool, and an experience for a lot of, like, if you're a public school, like majority of those guys aren't going to go play college football, so they'll never get to travel for an overnight game or something of that nature. If you can do that in high school, I just always thought that was such a cool experience. If you do it the right way and kind of match it up so that you're not going somewhere and just getting steamrolled or crushed, right? Like look at even Coach Blum down in Delaware, right? At Middletown. Like he's incorporated a national schedule and plays teams that are, he's not flying across the country, but he's playing the best teams that he can kind of get to. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really cool.
Yeah, of course. There's no doubt. I mean, there's more of a national emphasis.
No doubt.
And
obviously, I think, like, would you agree that social media has kind of added to that because it's allowed others, like it's allowed people to see other things outside of their state?
Oh, there's no doubt. I mean, social media is probably the biggest driver for that. It's right. Just like, what else people can do really well now? Anybody can be a marketer now.
No doubt.
So ChatGPT or whatever you use, you know what I mean, allows anyone to be a marketer. And I think that has made it like, if you want to do something, you now have an opportunity to do it, right? So I think that part's all changed a lot. I mean, it's really...
Oh, yeah.
I mean...
And you've been on the forefront for it, so you know what I mean? Like, you've seen the evolution of it.
The competitive advantage is not long in any of these things. So let's say I'm ahead of the game, right? Like I was for showcases, right? So let's say you're ahead of the game. Okay. it really doesn't last. Where you might have had, like when I had the showcases, I had like a hand, like 6-7 years before I really had to compete. You might come
Right.
out with something today, and tomorrow someone comes up with the same thing, and you're competing
Right.
head to head.
No doubt.
Literally tomorrow, and you have to be prepared to provide a level of service that so everyone thinks technology is what's going to give them the it's not. It's going to get you in the game. Get you in the game. Technology gets you in the game, right? But it doesn't allow you to win the game. What wins the game is still going to come down to provides a good service, who knows where to get the customers. Those kind of things are still a big deal. And like in sports, because sports is like, oh my God.
Oh God.
Like
Yeah.
I mean, I could have never, ever in my wildest dreams have imagined what sports is. And I'm not saying it positive or negative. I'm just saying I couldn't imagine
In general.
Like
Right.
I don't think you like what's hard for it. I think at the height, not in Texas, obviously, because they have structure and stuff like that. But when you get in these states that a lot of times are a little more, I call it Democrat leaning. It has nothing, doesn't have to necessarily always do with politics, but just because less emphasis on sports per se, even though it's still everywhere you go, no matter where you are, no matter what the political kind of landscape is, sports are huge, right? So, but the places where like you could kind of do whatever you want, holy cow, it's crazy how it's exploded. And there's no end in sight on that. Like there's no such thing as like
Well, you're not gonna
now.
put the freaking toothpaste back in the tube. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and this is I mean, for people who are entrepreneurs and stuff, it's probably good. Like you could come up with an idea, you can get a program developed, you can be up and running tomorrow, and you're good to go. Just that as soon as you are up and running, you started today, tomorrow another guy's opening up, right?
Yeah, no
And
doubt.
so like when
This
when
guy's
I
training
opened up,
here. Now it's this trainer. Now it's that. Like it's
it's everywhere,
copy
dude.
paste, dude. Like, hey, I'm running
Copy
showcases.
paste.
Oh, so am I. You know what I mean? Or hey, I'm doing this train. Oh, so am I. Oh, okay.
Now what is the difference,
Right.
is what you're getting out of it. And so the hardest thing is to decipher between, is the kid really talented that's going there and that makes the trainer look better, or is the trainer that good and he's helping this guy? Sometimes it's a little bit of both. And what I've noticed is that trainers now prioritize clients differently now too. So like when there was basically you did it a little bit back in the day, like you might let this person go for free or whatever. But what basically is now, it's if you're can pay more to the trainer and you make it more worth their while, they'll prioritize you over other people.
No doubt.
So that has changed dramatically in the training space. So when I was doing the speed stuff, at Schumann's elite, like we had one price. It didn't matter if you were like wealthiest person or, what I'm saying? This is what the price was, right?
Right.
And in general, the wealthier person would be like, you know what? I'll just book a year of sessions. Do I get a discount, right? So, but now you got wealthier people that maybe come in and say, I want a year of sessions with you. I don't want anyone else taking my time spot. I'll pay you 25% more to make sure that happens.
That I always have this.
that I'm always at the time that I want, no matter what. I'll pay a premium for that, right? Like you're going
Crazy.
to prioritize me. The mentality that used to go to like, I don't know, Mariah Carey when her trainer would come with her. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like training her, keeping her in shape, you know, like the celebrities. That now is in sports. So, and it's it kind of it's interesting because
Crazy.
I then there's more information than ever. I go back to like, I mean, I wouldn't normally say this, but like, if you're a dad that played sports, like at a sport that you might have an expertise in, and your kid's playing that, and you think you could do a pretty good job of it, you might want to do it yourself. Yes, go back to doing it yourself, like the old days. Do it yourself until you find out if he's that good.
Right.
Because if you
then you can invest. Otherwise, you're kind of just like hoping and
throwing
praying.
money into the wind, I think sometimes.
Right. I saw a stat the other day, or you know, somebody talked about it. Like, look, if you really buckled down and just like and took all the money that you paid for as a youth, like as a parent developing your child, right, with trainers, or you know what I mean, this AAU club team or this or that, if you kept all that and just pooled it, you'd be able to pay for college with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, whereas here you are, you know, hoping that all of this helps him get this scholarship that, guess what? Like, okay, now it's, you know, $50,000 a year for this school and they gave you 12. You know what I'm saying? Like, like, what are we talking about?
I watch trainers. I watch them.
Yeah, I know.
It's not that they're not good. It's not that they're not good. The majority of guys are not paying that close of attention to the details. And then go watch Chris. I always bring him up, Jeff Christensen. Go watch Jeff Christensen teach, and go watch other people teach. And what I see most of the time is, good job, great throw, good job, great throw, or whatever it is. Good shot,
right?
Good. Like, okay,
what is that?
What is a good shot? You followed through well on that on that shot. Okay, you finished well with your hand, right? Like, there's none of that, dude. There's just like I want you to okay, you're gonna make a move here, spin out, throw the ball, going away from your body. Huh? What about his hand? What was finish on the throw? Like, why are we? I don't want to get in the quarterback realm of this, but can't we just work on them 3-stepping on a line, 3-stepping and coming forward, shuffling forward, 3-stepping? Can we get them good at that first? You know, can we get them good at 3-stepping, 3-step drop, shuffle back forward, 5-step drop, shuffle back forward? Right? Like,
I agree.
That's where I used to start when I used to teach it.
Isn't that
Holy
where
cow.
you're supposed to start? Like, you know?
No, we got to immediately backpedal into
right. We got to do something that like you may or may not ever use.
Tell you this, Coach, what's his name? What's the guy that's wild? He's wild. JB. Coach JB might be crazy. I used to be like, oh, he just hates on QBs because, you know.
Well, he was one.
He's an old school guy and he was a QB. But the more I see it, I'm just like, none of these guys are good. They're not good.
Yeah.
Okay? Like, why is everybody throwing sidearm? Why are they all throwing like a 2/3 release or 1/3 sometimes? I don't understand it. Can you explain it to me? I wonder if you can explain it to me, because you're in high school. So I don't understand why they all throw that way. Am I a dinosaur?
I think it's because, and look, I've gone back and forth with this too. Like in terms of like sometimes I see things and I'm like, dude, you don't ever do that. Well, that's what my trainer told me to do, or that's what we worked. Like, hey, what did you work on when in that session? Oh, we did this, this, and this. Well, why did you do that? We worked off balance throws or this or that. I think it's because like a lot of it has to do with what they see in the NFL or in college, right? Like they see guys making these plays, like a Patrick Mahomes throwing across their body, but the trainers, and that's what now the trainers see. So they're like, oh, well, that's what they're doing. That's what I have to teach, or that's what these guys need to learn. When in reality, you're talking about a one-time throw that isn't the routine of what it is, right? A guy out there just like making a play. And at the end of the day, only he can really make that throw. But we're going to try and teach it to a kid that can't, even catch a snap from shotgun. You know what I'm saying? I think it's a lot of that, Dave. Like, it's
what happens? You know what happens? Well,
it's like, what the fuck are we doing?
You know what happens when you teach these things to kids that are younger and they're really not, like even middle schoolers, and they're just not that good yet with their follow through or anything. They start to throw everything that way, okay? And then you're in a nightmare, dude. And so, like,
Yeah.
I'll go. I'll pull up a video and I'll see Jeff Christensen showing something, and he's one of the best because of the footwork, and people hate the fact that he makes them bring their back foot to even, okay? Because they want everybody to just turn their hip and throw from there. So before they could turn their hip and throw from there, they first have to feel what it's like to rotate the hip and have a follow through. Okay? Yes, Aaron Rodgers could turn his hip and throw from there. But he learned all of the processes
the other stuff first. Yes.
And then started to do those things and mix those things in. You haven't perfected your follow through. You haven't perfected your follow through. You are not in a phone booth in high school yet. Okay? And if you are, you're probably a team that's not that good, and then you're in trouble, a different kind of trouble. But you're not in a phone booth yet. The NFL guys are in a phone booth, and they progress to get to work on that. But if you work on
it goes back to what you said, like you need to learn certain things before you can do this.
They're not strong enough. They're not.
Their bodies just aren't developed.
They can't do pull-ups yet. Okay.
Push-ups, any of it.
They can't do 50 sit-ups on their own. So now you're taking a grown man movement, but they haven't learned how to follow through. And that's just one example. It's shooting a basketball, hitting a baseball, all of these things, okay? There's a lot of similarities to them. Your start technique in the 100-meter dash, right? Guys, everyone's like, can you improve my running form? You don't know how to explode yet.
Right. Or you physically can't.
You don't know how to drive off your front foot, okay, and punch the back foot to get going, just to get going, okay? And you want me to teach him how to run? He doesn't know how to generate force. You have to learn how to do certain things first in your body before you can move to other elements of it. And it's crazy how we leap to these things, and then they wonder when they get to high school, okay? When they get to high school and they can't do certain things, they get into trouble. I can't tell you how many kids that I've seen that have gone up to quarterback coaches from the time they were like 9 years old, and they all throw like this. This is how they throw, Derek.
Yeah, they like chuck it. They're heaving it.
They're heaving balls. You know why they're heaving balls? Because in order to throw the ball far when you don't have strength, you're heaving the ball. So you learn to heave the ball. And then your motion becomes this super elongated motion, right? I mean, there's a level of physics to it. There's a reason why it used to be that they wanted guys to have an exercise phys background or a physical education background to first start teaching speed, okay, or teach any kind of biomechanical movement, which is why it took a long time to get trainers out there, right? In like your era,
Yep.
there wasn't that many trainers,
Yeah.
right?
Not at all.
But now everybody who played at a high level, because there's money that you can be successful at, they jump right into it and they're teaching it. And they played at a high level and they're showing you what I did. If I taught you to hurdle, Derek, the way I could hurdle back in the day, you wouldn't be able to do it. You would not be able to hurdle that way because we first learned how to walk over the hurdle with a trail leg. We learned how to step over it.
There was a process to it, but that's not what sells training sessions, so that's not what they do.
Right, because they just want to jump you into going right over the hurdle right away without understanding what it feels like.
Right. Or they just want to like throw this out there because, hey, this is going to sell.
No, well, what it is it looks really good. Like
that's what I mean.
All the change in direction movement.
Optics.
Let's ask this question. If you change direction 20 times in one drill, okay, and then go, like really quick feet, change direction 20 times in one drill, and you're young, multiply that if you do that 2 days a week, okay, for 8 years, the level you're putting of stress on the knees they're not playing a game because they're still going to play a game. They need to change direction and explode. And as they get stronger,
unnecessary stresses
pack on more. And it was always my belief, and you don't know where this is, that like running backs, for example, have a shelf life. You don't know what it is. Okay. Derrick Henry somehow can handle Derrick Henry somehow can handle 1,500 carries in high school, still have a bunch of carries in college, and be able to be a pro.
But he's also a guy that can spend how much money to take care of himself.
Correct. And let's ask this question. At Alabama, he didn't carry the ball that much. They split carries.
Yeah, because he had a lot of 5 other guys that are in the NFL.
Right. So if you think about it, Alabama, he almost got a little bit of a 3-year rest relative to the load he was doing before. Right.
Absolutely.
In high school. No doubt. And most guys aren't, Derrick Henry. But
no doubt.
There are guys that have a much shorter, and you don't know where that is. And we've coached guys. We're like, whoa, we didn't realize that his workload was just too much for him, and now we're getting him, and he's done. Like
he's burnt, he's shot, he's done.
He's burnt. Like that.
Right?
He's added his workload,
and it's why the whole burnout conversation of, you know what I mean, like specialization in doing one sport all the freaking time. Like, why are these guys burning out and they don't even want to play sports like by the time they're at a certain level? Or, hey, I'm good, I don't need to do that. Like, because they're just been in it, doing it forever.
The tendons don't need extra wear and tear as they're, because they're going to play. When they play other sports, everything rounds itself out. I mean, we had that conversation with Jeremy DeCaro, like, dude, the guy played 3 sports in high school.
And hey, look, Kieran Falzon, 3 sports, all at a high level, right? Like, look at these guys. Like, and even like in talking to Kieran too, like he talked about, Coach, I don't really practice.
And how about this? If football would be a sport that you would say in season is a breakdown sport, like physically breaks down your body.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
Well, Dave, it's why we have that conversation of like, look, man, you're the first day of practice is when you're going to be healthy, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're never going to feel 100%. That's just the nature of sports, and not only sports, just sports in general. right? Like majority of sports are breakdown sports. And if you constantly break down, eventually you're going to stop at some point, right?
I think basketball is a build-up sport, right? Although when you
Yeah.
get too many games, it can be, then it
But I
starts.
think the game
But in
thing starts creeping
general,
in. The game
yeah, if
thing
you keep
creeps
it
in, man.
moderate, it's probably a build-up sport. It's not. Track and field is obviously a build-up sport. Baseball, I'm not. I get for pitchers, it's probably a breakdown. For regular players, probably a build-up. You know what I'm saying? Like not
Yep.
pitchers. Pitchers is kind of a breakdown. Um, uh, Wrestling is both a build-up and a breakdown. So competition is more of a breakdown. The actual sport in practice is really a build-up because you're getting stronger, you're moving, but the losing of weight and the tournaments probably have a breakdown effect on you. So that's probably a both. But that's what's important to know about different sports, right? Like, and those kind of things can really. Now, if you're a mega distance runner, that actually might be it's probably both a build up and a breakdown. Like if you're like a marathoner, the training is good for your body, but the excessive training, can actually break you down over time, your knees and your joint. So
Of course.
I think that that's the part. Like trainers have to be build up people, right? And I don't think it's sexy though when a parent comes in.
Nope.
This is
And
the
that's
part
part of the problem.
This is the part for them. What did my kid get out of the session? Well, what he gets out of it is over time, right? Like, so
right. This isn't going to be like, you're not going to reap the benefits. It's like those guys that go to trainers and it's like, hey, he runs a 4.7. He needs to run a 4.3. And he's got a camp at the end in 6 weeks. Get him ready.
When a parent asks me, what can I, 50 questions of how am I going to get their kid faster? Do you think I even respond?
Go somewhere else.
I'm not wasting my time. You're already like looking
already
for a magic pill.
Correct. Yep. That's what it is. How do I buy success? Doesn't happen.
Can't help you with
Just
a magic
part of the process. Just part of the process.
And that's the whole thing. It's like, but it's hard. It's hard because I think that coaches who want to go through a trainer that wants to go through a defined approach, and they have to chase money to a certain extent. So if this guy wants this and he's going to pay me more, you kind of have to do it. And then, that looks good on social media. But I think it's just really interesting when you go and watch, like you've seen these videos I do with that app. So when you see the 100-meter times of what a 10.0 is, okay, and how many miles an hour they're reaching at 10.0, like 25 miles an hour, and some of them hold it longer, which allows them to run, maybe high nines, and some don't hold it as long, which means it might be a 10.2. Okay. When a kid says he runs 20 miles an hour and tells you that he's fast, you say that's good, but you still have a ways to go. Because you could actually hit 20 miles an hour for a short amount of time and not be able to sustain it, which means that you're explosive, but you're not. You have a level of explosion. Meanwhile, what you need is linebacker from I think it was Ohio. At these 40s, he ran a 4.4 something. He had 23.9 miles an hour. Division I linebacker. That's the number one guy in the country, right? So let's say you're not number one. Let's say you're a college player. You probably need to be in like 21 or higher to have a chance.
Maybe
probably
higher.
22, right? So it's
especially with the way things are today and like how they're splitting hairs. You know what I mean? In some of those, like it is the smallest margins of what could be the difference.
It really is. It's and I feel like trainers. I mean, there's a trainer in every corner, and there's one doing something. There's one doing, but I watch a lot of them, and they've most of them have not gone through any formal learning
Absolutely
process.
not. Other than, oh, I played here.
Yeah. And so you're just doing your workouts with them. You're doing your workouts that you do.
Or you're just taking from something, or like just looking at, and I get it. There's a level of all of that within everything, but like, what is the basis for why you're doing this with this athlete or these student athletes, right? Like, you're seeing now, like, to a trend of the trainer thing is guys that are home from school who are still playing, and hey, I'm going to train guys. Okay, you're literally doing exactly what you're doing. Or he's a running back. Okay, hey, he's this. And we're talking like these guys are training kids that are like at a, like young, like where it's very impressionable, or you might actually physically harm them because this isn't developed or that's not developed, or you're doing these things with no formal backing or any of the stuff that you really need to kind of do it on a top level. But hey, okay, like that's scary to me. Like that's like, parents, you got to do a little bit of homework, like know what's going on, know who you're sending your kid to.
It's scary. It's
and again, back to the whole, like, I don't know how you put the toothpaste back in the tube, but it's out there and it's everywhere. So I don't think you're gonna.
Competitions, survival of the fittest. Most people are going to come and go. Like, how is Bill Parisi still around many years later? Obviously, he's good. You know what I mean? Like, so, listen, why is Bill Parisi coming back? Let's ask this question. Because he feels there's something missing.
Right. Or he's found a new something.
Well, I think that may be part of it, but I think he feels that there's certain things missing, and I agree.
Or maybe, hey, I want to go back and correct a little bit of, but there's also a healthy level of like, all right, let's change the model to kind of go with what I see working now, right. And you know what I'm saying? Like, there's that, no doubt. Oh, hey, if I approach it like this, I'm gonna get this. You know what I'm saying?
One of the things I think is, you're right. One of the things I think is that, like, if you tell a parent you got to build up from the ground up, they don't know what that means. No. So, but if you use, like that's why this fascia thing is so big. Like, you say fascia, I go look it up. I go do stuff that's fascia driven, makes sense. But really, what am I doing? I'm building from the ground up, right? I'm building from the ground up. I'm trying to help. You're trying to help your athlete build the things that a lot of times get taken for granted when you when you train, meaning you jump right into something, but you haven't developed the ankles and the tendons, and so you jump right into hardcore training, and it becomes an issue. Survival of the fittest in training is the worst thing you could do with an athlete. Literally the worst thing you do. It was obviously how I grew up, right? That was what you did, okay? But
correct.
What you realize is that it's really the worst thing you can do, because some of the things you start to have problems with in college or in high school, depending on like the genetic of the kid, right? Some kids it's going to happen to in high school. Some kids who are maybe stronger are going to
sooner.
Some kids who are really, really strong might not happen till if they're that good in the pros, right? But at some point, they're going to have some of those issues depending on their level of what they are, and you might be able to avoid some of the issues. You always want, not the one injury. You don't want any injury to happen from an area of weakness. An injury can happen from a catastrophic step, a catastrophic
movement,
a movement that is unpredictable. Okay.
That's
yes,
it.
You could do things to stop that by building them, but there's sometimes things that are not always controllable. But yeah, I think that's the thing that we get. You know, I mean, it's hard, dude. And we're not in a state that there's more train. We're actually in a state where there's not that many trainers, and I feel like that, right? Like there's really not that many trainers here relative to like I'm sure Texas or Florida, right? Um, so it's one of these things, and then the trainer is no longer around, and you're like, okay, and now you're getting trained a completely different way the next time. That I mean, quarterback wise, that 100% is going on everywhere. Like this guy trains this way. That guy, I didn't know there were that many ways you could play quarterback. Like, I mean, I understand there's different body types, and a shorter guy might have to do this, and a tall guy might need to do this. But like, everybody teaches the position completely differently, which is really wild. Basketball, okay? Someone shooting. For the most part, the dynamics of how you shoot a basketball are very, very similar. Now, guys have different shooting styles. Wemby might, because he's taller, might shoot a little bit differently than this guy, or they might grow up doing something the wrong way, and then you might adjust. But in the end, if you're shooting a three, your hand follows through, right? Like this still happens no matter where you're shooting from the majority of time. So would you teach someone to throw a shoot going across their body? No, of course you wouldn't. It's so crazy to me that in football we do these kind of things. And which is, by the way, what I kind of like about the O-line, D-line in a sense. You probably could teach it this way, or this way. That's it. Like, depending on some preference or blocking scheme, right? You're teaching it this way if you're running zone, this way if you're running a down scheme, this way if you're pass pro and you're a retreat pass pro, or this way if you're a kick side. And that, those are the different things. But you're not going too far out of the realm, because if you do, you're not making the block, right? Like, you're just not, right? Like, you're not making the block if you teach a guy to cut and he doesn't see what he's cutting. I mean, but yet we do the same thing with wide receiver. That's why Jamar Chase and what he's talking about in his videos, why they've gone viral. Jamar Chase's videos are so good. Like, he's like, at the end of the day, you've got to get into your route quick enough and into your breaks quick enough and out of it quick enough that the receiver can look at you as an option to throw the ball to you.
Yep.
It's amazing. You're not in dance class. You're not in a dance class. You're not in a dance class. Yeah, I mean, you're in a. What do you do when you do all those dancing moves, and the guy who rolls up on you is better than you, the DB, and he's playing you man to man, and he's got longer arms than you, and he's faster than you, and you go and do all kinds of dance moves. What are you going to do now? He's just going to jam you and ride you into the sideline.
Right. And you're going to have 0 targets after that one because this guy can't get off the ball, and 0 catches that week. Like, it's just how it's going to go. But guess what? It looks really great on social media.
I would take if I was a receiver coach in college and you sent me a kid's film and like his highlights, and I'm like, this guy could be a dude. And I would be like, can you show me the video of him against the best DB he plays against? Who's the best DB he played against this year? Cool. Let me watch that video. Okay. All right. This kid actually can play. This kid cannot play. Okay. Because let's watch them. Let's watch them run his own route. Let me see this guy stem. How many times have you told a kid to stem his route? Okay. And they look at you like, what? Like how many times when a guy runs a receiver route and he has a DB beat and he bends it out wide instead of getting over the top of him, so he can completely direct him. And this drives me nuts. I'm like, okay, you made your move way out here, okay, and now you're going up the field. So this guy, you had him beat. You went way out here, but all he has to do is just close to the hip, and now he's got you covered. If you get him beat here, and you get over the top of him, now he's got to turn and run and chase you. He's got to turn and run. Anytime you got to make a guy turn and run, he has a lot of problems and chase you. He's got a whole bunch of you're in control. And I just see very few. That's why Ross was so great to have on. He always teaches those kind of things. Like it's such an
foundations, bases, right? Like you can't do certain things until you can master some of these things. And I think we've also now we've sped up the process, right? Because now it's more of a market with more people available at younger ages that are more impressionable, where mom and dad are like, oh, if I can get them into it young, whatever. But even in that, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but you can't be teaching or doing certain things with younger aged athletes that aren't physically there yet. Like you can't coach it all the same cookie cutter. Hey, we're going to do a group session. You can't have an 8th grader with an 8-year-old and a this and a that and say, hey, here's what we're doing. Like the development, you'd think that's logic, but sure as hell isn't.
No, it's mind blowing. And I just like, your favorite thing in the world would be as a parent to be more of a dad and be able to pass it off. And if you didn't have any knowledge, you're almost you're in a better space, because if you don't know, you don't know, you don't know. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
which is why, we've talked about that numerous times, right? Like if you don't know, if you've never been hurt, you don't know what being hurt, like the mentality of being hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, I never got smashed going across the middle and got a concussion, right? Because that never happened. I never worried about going across the middle and making the catch, right? Like, I watch it with my daughter. She doesn't know if I jump off this, I could break my arm. She just doesn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's part of the learning curve. Now I'm there to kind of keep it whatever or support her. Like I know she can't fully get across the monkey bars on her own on a playground. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm going to let her do it to the best of her ability with me helping her so that she sees it as successful, and then little by little take it away until it's fully independent. That's how I'm parenting. That's my thought process. That's what people did for me. I'm going to help her build it up. Hey, baby, if you want to do the monkey bars, let's do this. And guess what? You're going to get stronger so that you can do those monkey bars by yourself, right? Like, but you have to allow that healthy level of like risk to go into it, but also monitor that at the same time. I'm not going to have her do things that she can't freaking do and have her get hurt or something negative happen, where now that negativity or whatever, that negative thing that happened is going to take over all of the positive things that she could be if she doesn't know that, right? Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Makes 100% sense. You're there to support and develop in
it's for down the road. It's not for now, right?
Exactly.
Like, hey babe, you're going to be able to do the monkey bars by the time you go to school in August or in September, right? Like you can't do it now. And for young kids, like that's when, tantrums happen or this or that. And it's like, you just have to police it, tolerate it to a certain level of, hey, we don't do that here. Or, hey, that's not where we start. In order to do that, you have to do this. You have to teach some of that. Like, I think that's teachable, Hey, we don't just jump into a hang clean. We got to start with this. We got to start with that. Okay, then we progress to this. Not everything is, like you said, a magic pill. Doesn't work like that. Which is
No.
probably why society is the way it is, because everybody's expecting that. Right? Hey, I want to lose weight. Okay, where's the Ozempic? Like,
yes. And those things
hey,
are helpful.
Again, agreed. In doses. You know what I'm saying? Or with a calculation for a buildup or
You
a
still have to
process.
work out.
You still have to do certain things in order to attribute that, right? Like, hey, if you eat healthy, you're going to lose weight. Yeah, but you have to exercise with it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we could go back and forth with shit like that all day. No, hey, you're going to throw touchdowns, but you got to be able to do this first. Catch a snap.
Well, so the general athleticism development thing, okay, is such an important thing. I think when kids are I made the mistake in some of these areas. Like, I was like, oh, and then they're like, they don't want to do it, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm going to have to sacrifice a little bit of your batting average because you're just not there to want to do hitting all the time. You know what I'm saying?
You're not
like,
sit in the cage for hours and hours and hours.
But you love playing let's say baseball, for example, right? You love playing it, but you're not yet there to put in all the time. Okay. Mm-hmm. Which is cool. Like, and then, you play that. Now you still have to learn and all those kind of things, but that you're still doing the athletic movements. And I do think there's a push and pull. For it. I mean, there's a push and pull, like.
Well, there has to be a little bit of that.
You might
do with the age.
Yeah, I think as they go through it until they get to high school, like, you might be like, hey, I'll do travel this year. Great. Next year you might be like, I don't think we should do travel. I think that's also, parents have to be like, that's okay, dude. Like, you don't have to keep with the Joneses. It helps you. If the kid really loves it, absolutely go ahead and do it. If he went through it and he's kind of like a dragging a little bit,
right? Like, you're like, so now what do you want? You want to play that game?
Play rec.
Right. Right. Stay involved, but you know what? It's not that serious.
Yeah. Or, what I do like about basketball, and baseball does this too. Like, you can say your level. You don't always get it. They don't always get it exactly, but at least you can tell them your level, what you think your level is, and they're doing their best to match it. You might play some better teams, you might play some worse teams, so they do their best to match that from that standpoint. I think that's good, because everybody's at a different stage, and then as a kid might think he wants more or less, they can kind of scale up or scale down. But so I do think that part is good, but it's really interesting when you talk to these coaches and you see what high school is like, and what they at high levels and what they have to do in order to succeed. You think that when they're younger levels that you've got to do everything you can, and then it's just like, yes, but what are you going to do when a guy just walks in that's just better?
When he's just an alien.
You did everything right.
Right. It's the same with like recruiting. Hey, I did everything right. How come this school won't give me a scholarship, but they gave it to this guy? It's like, well, he's better.
He's just better, right? And then,
and the sooner you can realize that there's other people out there that are always going to be better, and you can close the gap, or you can beat them out with like hard work. You have an opportunity to be a good percentage of it. But even in that, it's still not going to be what you want perfectly. And it might just be a situation. Had this happened a year earlier, a couple weeks, you know what I mean? Like, there's always going to be those intangibles about like, hey man, that's just life. Sorry.
That's an important point, dude. Like, that's some of these things are just life, and
and that's how you got to chalk it up. Because
for me, coming from the city, came from the Bronx, right? And he always said this to me, because I was obviously a small town guy like you. I was the fastest guy in town at the time. Actually, in my senior class, there was actually a kid that was as fast as me. But but that was because he would find all these track kids and just figure out how to make them good. But like he would there's a kid that was 6'4" that was on my track team who was our best 100, 200 meter guy, and he was great. He was great, but and he's a good example. Like the dude didn't really do anything other than his raw athleticism until he
There's
was
so many of those guys, right?
and then he
Especially
put
when you
in
go
the
to
work his
college.
senior year. He was sectional champ in 100, 200.
It's why I talk about too at the high school level, right? There could be a kid on your team that as a freshman, you're like, oh God, he's number 53 out of 53. Then as a sophomore, you're like, oof, I don't know. He's getting a little better. Like now he's 43 out of 53. Junior year comes, he's still playing JV and maybe not even starting on JV. But then all of a sudden, senior year comes and he's an all division guy. Well, why? Well, there's a million reasons why. He stuck with it. He kept working out. He's matured physically. But like now mentally, like, hey, I'm a senior and this is coming to an end. And all of a sudden you're like, hey, dude, you just helped us win a bunch of games. And that's cool. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the whole thing too. Like, don't count this guy. One of my biggest pet peeves are coaches that just write guys off from like, he sucks. He's never going to be able to do anything for us. Buddy, you have no fucking clue what's going to happen in 4 years. Or like whether it comes to physical, hitting puberty, whatever that stuff is, mentally, like how he matures and grows and does all this stuff. And like, maybe he falls in love with this, or maybe he does love this way more than the guy that's 6'4" and already running or whatever. And that guy's like, hey, I'm done. I'm good. I'm good just because I'm good. And he might always be that good. But this guy's going to keep working. He's going to love it. He's going to buy in. And all of a sudden, he can leave having a really good career and helping you win some games. Don't just write guys off because they are what they are right now. You as a coach and as a person changed. Look at your, like, don't, you know what I mean? Don't categorize or pigeonhole guys into like, that's what they are. You don't know that.
You don't know.
You don't know that. You got no clue. So, well,
anyway,
that was a tangent by both of us.
Yeah, it was good. It's important. You know what? Tangents are important.
Yeah, buddy. We got to puke it. You got to puke it out at some point too. But listen, I'll tell you, tomorrow we got a good one that kind of just came up and hit out of nowhere. An NAIA head coach, Dr. Nick Garrett, NAIA coach. And he's a doctor. So obviously, you know, he's put in the time. From Andrew College in Georgia. So I always love talking to the NAIA guys because it's so different. And he's a head coach. So it's going to be, I'm excited to talk to him.
Interesting.
Hell yeah. Really? Rock and roll. You know how it is. A lot of these college guys right now, they got a little bit of, I don't want to say downtime, but you know, guys are either transitioning from school to coming back to campus and summer workouts are starting and they kind of got a little time right now. So we got a pretty good 2 weeks of guys that are a little bit, I don't want to say different than what we do, but just like we can hit on some things that normally we wouldn't get these guys because, you know, they're doing this or they're doing that. Plus, you know, school in most parts of the country is out. Like they're all in summer workouts at this point where, you know, we're still preparing for finals and just praying that the freaking meet of champs ends soon.
When does that end?
I think it's this weekend.
Okay.
Or Wednesday or Thursday. I think they do it like a weird time or whatever. I don't know. We only have, I think, one kid or two or maybe 2 or 3 kids that are still going because majority of my football players are back in the weight room. Baseball's done for them. Lacrosse is done for them. A couple of the track kids, maybe 1 or 2, because I do have the fastest kid in Ocean County. Not a football player, but he was trying to figure out a way to, I mean, hell. I guess, man. I mean, he can run by a lot of people, but you know how that works. Once there's a little contact involved. I mean, I might have to Forrest Gump it and have somebody catch the kick return for him and hand it to him and say go.
Speed kills.
Hey, sub 11.
Yeah, speed kills. If you can get him in a,
he's sub 11.
position. Don't worry about defense. Just put them on the offensive side.
Like, buddy, just do this and
And be
it's going to
great
come
at it.
here. Right. Like, because, there ain't nobody like you literally numbers wise, just you're the fastest 100-meter kid in Ocean County. Right. So you're already kind of here, buddy. So let's figure this out. The joys of coaching, buddy.
No doubt. Great podcast. Good job. Thanks for
All right,
starting
buddy.
it. Sometimes
No, you're cool.
in these mornings, I'm like running around.
Well, I think too, coming up, like one, because obviously summer, our schedule changes, right? Like, and we go in the mornings. So I think I'm going to push a lot of them to like 11-ish, 11:30-ish, somewhere around there. Just because like the mornings get wild and stuff. And I don't want to have to, whatever, rush these other guys around or any of those other things. But we're pretty much 10 a.m. for the rest of this week. Next week, we have a couple guys from the West Coast. So like Monday's an 11, Tuesday is going to be another 8 p.m. type of situation. And because I'm trying to get guys on that are like, you know what I mean? Like if they just took over a bigger name program, like how do I fit them into the window and stuff like that. So, but I know it's all good when it comes to schedule with you and whatnot. Like we make it work, which is cool. Maybe we need a New Jersey high school football chat Twitter page.
That would be a good idea. I could probably build that.
That's why I bring it to you.
I could probably build
and hey, in big news in the state, and then this is where we'll go because 2 hours and 30 minutes, we're still rocking. But like St. Peter's just made a move, right? So their OC is going to take over, right? Obviously, that's a big thing in the state of New Jersey. Not only because it's, one of the, top 5 probably big time programs in the state, but just because it's, the last name that's been attached to that from a coaching standpoint has been the same name from the jump. You know what I'm saying? Like whether it was dad or son and now it's kind of changing the guard ultimately. And Coach Flaherty's been there for a really long time. He's a really good dude. I like him. I think he's a really good guy. And so he's taking over now and shit, man, like ready to rock. The rich get richer, I guess.
Where was he at before?
I think he's always been there. He's always been there. Went from being, I want to say, running backs to DBs and then to OC. And I think he's had that for a couple of years now. And then obviously transition into to wearing the big boy hat. Head coach.
Interesting. Well,
rock and roll.
Great program. So,
no doubt. In an interesting area in the state. You know what I'm saying? Like talking Jersey City.
Yeah. No doubt.
That in itself adds its intangibles.
Oh, yeah. But they pull from a wide area. As all of the parochials do.
Correct. It's like, and it's also, it's like kind of one of those. I mean, look, I'd love to have that and be able to go grab whatever talent you want, but not how it works, public school, buddy. Like we develop what we develop and we get better. So all good, man. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll talk to you later.
All right, you got it, bud. Later.